Hey folks, we're back with another episode of Three Men and an Anime. Huzzah!
Hooray!
This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Gav Leaf. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
Yes. Let's just leave it at that. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, tonight we're going to be talking about Gav's most recent series selection, Megalo Box.
Robot punching.
But not punching robots,
No.
which is a shame.
There is one robot that gets punched in the show.
Yes.
Yes, there is. Okay.
Yuri has his training bot.
He does have a training bot, yep.
Megalo Box is a sort of spiritual successor, sort of series created in commemoration of one of the big historical boxing manga, Ashita no Joe, which came out, which was like 50 years ago.
Now, it is a loose adaptation.
It's not an adaptation. It's sort of it's an homage, really.
Yeah.
It's an homage because having looked at the picture, the Joes don't look anything the same.
No. What do you mean, Eric? They're actually going to say that Ashita no Joe came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
So very different art style. Also, it was about boxing, and there's no robotics in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to boxing with cybernetic enhancements.
Also, Ishida no Joe is he's fucking jacked, while Gearless Joe is a wiry motherfucker.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So
Now, usually, I will just say, lately my suggestions have been kind of hit or miss. Either I serve up fresh garbage, or basically things that blow your mind.
I will say this.
I want to preface this one.
Okay.
Because whenever we go through a show, okay, we always talk as if we say, oh yeah, you should go watch this, as if we haven't spoiled the entire fucking show.
Right.
And I want to preface this one, not to give away final thoughts or anything, but from a spoilerish standpoint, go and watch this show.
Yeah.
Right from the start.
Yeah.
If you don't want the story spoiled and you enjoy boxing and that sort of story, go watch the show now.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Okay, here's the deal. We will describe the framework of what the actual arc of the story is going to be, and you probably can figure out most of what's going to happen by the end.
Yeah.
There is a little bit that's not... The final, 2 episodes are a little up in the air.
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's also a sports/tournament style story. So, the fact that we're going to be talking about the final fight means that, yeah, the guy's going to get to the end. But that's obvious, that you know that sort of thing going in.
There's a lot of very obvious sort of plot structural stuff that follows. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Megalo Box, I think we all agree that this is definitely something should be watched, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If only just for visuals.
I am not lying when I say when we were watching this show, the term masterpiece was thrown around.
This show manages to be everything that you remember about mid to late 90s anime without any of this shit that sucked.
Yeah, legitimately.
It is exactly what you remember about mid to late 90s anime. But without the rose-colored glasses, and that they're not necessary.
Barring two really, I mean, I wouldn't say really bad, but barring two standout CGI, inserts later on, which basically act kind of almost like the exception that proves the rule. This show, from an artistic standpoint, is almost flawless.
It's gorgeous.
It's pretty
absolutely gorgeous. It is it is beautifully drawn. And the animation is just generally stellar. And they do a lot of tricks to make it look older than it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 1, I mean, I'm not as big as an art buff as these two, but episode 1, these two barely said a word. They were just staring at the screen like, oh my god, did you see that? Eric's like, yeah, wow. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Okay. Like there's a like they go to the degree where like they add just enough of a grainy effect so that you can tell, even though it's dated, the scene you're watching is dated. They're also watching on a shit ass CRT TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just enough grain on there to like they don't just make it like cover it with lines and bullshit. It's like no, it's a faded image.
From what I understand, they actually intentionally compressed the video to make it look less clean than it could.
Yeah.
Which is like, normally you say, what the fuck are you doing? But then you see it, you go, oh, that's what the fuck they're doing.
There's an old thing that holds true no matter what kind of project you're doing. It is much harder to make something look good and kind of crappy than it is to make something crappy or look good.
Yeah.
Like to intentionally get those kind of flaws and stuff in there to achieve the thing is really hard to do without fucking everything up.
So I'm gonna give this before we get too deep into it, I'm gonna give it this show some very, very high praise. This show visually and musically is in the same ballpark as Bebop.
I don't know if I'll go so far as musically because
it's in this the music choice by what I mean is the music choices are designed to go with the show.
Sure.
And sync up perfectly. I prefer the Bebop soundtrack as a musical soundtrack, and I think it's actually a better soundtrack overall. But like, I don't think Yoko Kanno would have worked as doing the score for the show the way the people who did the score for the show did.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like Bebop. There are songs that I would never listen to if it weren't for the association with Bebop, and there are standout scenes in Bebop where the music is just as important as everything else going on.
Yes.
I didn't get that impression from
There's
Megalo
one
Box.
scene where the music I think is actually is integral to what's going on. Now, here's the thing. Part of the reason that it's not in the same ballpark as Bebop overall because of that, and musically, I'll say this is it's not as well written as Bebop is. Like, it's not, the characters aren't quite as developed and deep as the main cast of Bebop because part is just there's less time. This is a 13 episode show as opposed to a 26 episode show. That's part of it. And part of it is just the style of story that's being told. You don't need as much nuance as you would as in a boxing story as you might in a, whatever Bebop is.
Yeah.
But no, again, the guys who wrote Bebop did such an exemplary job with everything in that show that being not as good is not really a knock on you.
No, it's
This is not a badly written show by any stretch of the imagination.
Is there a term that is the opposite of damning with faint praise?
Because this show is really good. It's really good. It has a few cliche moments here and there, but things are cliche for a reason. And try to like, it's it's not a complicated story.
No,
it really isn't, which is fine. It doesn't need to be.
I think that is. I mean, like you said, the fact that it is such a short show, they had to leave bits out there somewhere.
Yep.
I personally think there's a little bit of world building they could have expanded on a little bit.
Yep.
Like one of the keynotes of it. I mean, we're going into spoiler territory at this point now. Is the lead Joe is basically it's almost like I wouldn't say post-apocalyptic, but it's kind of like there's the big lights of the bright city and all that kind of stuff, but he lives out in the sticks, and it's literally like trailer parks and abandoned Wild West towns and desert scrubland and all that kind of stuff where you start hearing references to people with no names, people with no identities. They're not citizens because they don't have, they don't exist as people essentially. they're not registered, or
Yep.
little things that they don't really go into any the why of this, just that this is the case.
Well, it's a very cyberpunk dystopia.
Yeah.
It is right out of Cyberpunk 2020 in a lot of ways.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, this is sort of shit like, it's not quite as technologically advanced in some ways, but like this is this is early days of the cyberpunks of the cyberpunk RPG setting.
Yep. Oh, this is very, very Gibson-y.
Oh yeah, very. Very, it's street level gritty. It is street level gritty people running into, being thrown into into sort of the upper echelons of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like me going to a restaurant where they need me to wear a tie.
Kinda. I guess, yeah. I mean, so yeah, Joe. Okay, so our main character, who for the first few episodes does not have a name, he's known as.
He's got a rig name because he's a boxer called Junk Dog.
So okay, there's this thing called Megalo Boxing in this show. So again, it's a high tech setting with very low tech generally low tech suburbs. That suburbs is the wrong term.
Wasteland.
Yeah, kind of. Back alleys, ghettos. Just the bad parts of town. And although they're not even in town, they're outside of town. They're in the fringes.
Yeah, they're out in the blasted wasteland.
They're on the sort of fringes of the big city. But there's this thing called Megalo Boxing, which is boxing, except that you got these sort of cybernetic, they're sort of almost more
they're kind of like exosuits, but only from the waist up, basically, or the shoulders up in most cases.
Mostly just the shoulders and the arms.
Yeah, it's basically you've got a rig that basically increases your punching power, basically. That's all it does.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you some sort of minimal armoring on your arms, and well, depending on who you are, more you might
what
have
kind
more
of rig
or
you're wearing.
less.
Yeah.
Depends on how good your gear is.
Yeah. Or if you can afford the armor bits and not just using exposed parts.
So yeah, but we've got our main character Joe, of Junk Dog, who's a Megalo Boxer in the underground fighting circuits. And he has a really crappy set of gear. It's old, it's dated, it's not particularly powerful.
Yeah, exposed pistons and everything's hanging loose.
All the pneumatics are visible, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got obvious pneumatic parts. Let's be real. I mean,
yeah.
But the thing you realize very quickly, he's got a manager, Nanbu, and it's very clear from very early on that he's being paid to take a dive in this fight. And this seems to be a fairly common thing for him, because the thing is, Joe is actually really good at boxing. And you realize very quickly that Joe is basically has to try to not win against the guys he's fighting. They are not in his league. But he's a loser.
And Joe's in a position where, the best he can do is go and fixed fights as the dive man so that other people can make more money because, well, he literally doesn't have an identity and he can't get a proper job. And he likes punching
But
things.
he's so good at boxing, he can make it look like a real fight.
Yes.
He may make it look like it's not obvious he's diving. He keeps losing, but he's good enough to make it look like it's always a fight. Yeah. Which is a real talent.
Mm-hmm. It's clear, though, that he's getting frustrated with this role, though, because
he desperately wants to actually fight.
Yeah.
He wants to be allowed to fight and fight people that can actually fight back. He's like in episode 1, he goes to the club where he's going to be boxing, and he's like, even the doormen are in on it. They're like, So how many rounds did he hit the canvas tonight, Joe? And he's like, no, I've cleared it with Nanbu. He's actually letting me fight tonight. He gets in, sees Nanbu, and Nanbu's like, so about that letting you win bit. He's like, not again.
Yeah. So
but Joe. Yeah. This is the thing. Like he can appraise every single fighter he's been in there with, and Nanbu's always in his ear with like the earpiece saying, when he should take a dive, blah blah blah. The right round for the gambling, because it's all mob run, by the way.
Yeah,
of course it is. And he's always in his ear, and it's like, and Joe's just like he sized up every single opponent he ever gets in the ring with, and knows exactly how quickly he could put him down. But he has to drag a fight out of him. It's like it's like they say about wrestling. A good wrestler can drag a fight out of a mop, and I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I've seen footage of it. It's impressive.
and Joe has to do this for these guys who are clearly not. They are clearly out of their depth.
Yeah. But yeah, so Joe's getting frustrated, and he's the big sort of instigating incident in the show really is he goes out for a ride on his motorcycle, frustrated, and doesn't notice he's driving down a road that's not really supposed to be open because there's construction going on, and on that road, which is supposed to be abandoned, are two of our other major characters, Yuri and what's her name?
Yukiko.
Yukiko, yes.
Yeah.
Yukiko owns the major megacorp in the city.
Yeah.
And Yuri is her pet boxer.
Yeah, the reason they're on this road is because it overlooks the construction site of the new arena that her company are paying for.
Yep.
She's basically CEO and owner of the Shirato Industries.
Yep.
And it's like it's a sort of typical Japanese sort of industry. It's her name on the sign. She's Yukiko Shirato.
Yep.
And they're hyping up this huge tournament, a Megalo Box, basically their WrestleMania.
Yeah, Megalomania, I think is what
Megalomania, basically, yeah, something like that. So they're building it up, and for it they've decided to build this huge stadium as a crowning point. And the entrance roads are obviously they're not built yet either, but they've gone up there because you've got a good view to have a look of over their baby.
Yep. And so Yuri is a boxer who's basically sponsored by her, and he has her company basically Charter Corp has made this super advanced Megalo Boxing gear, which is actually fully integrated. It's actually actual cybernetics. It's wired into him.
Yeah, like into his nervous system.
Yep.
Fully integrated gear.
Yep,
is what they call it.
Yeah, and Joe comes riding along and almost runs over Yukiko, and basically sees her, goes, "Oh fuck," and swerves to avoid her and loses control of his bike.
Yeah, he dumps the bike.
Yep. And so he meets them.
For anyone who's ridden a bike knows that sucks.
So yeah, Yukiko basically is like, "Okay, are you okay, sir?" It's like, thank you for. She's very clearly appreciative that he didn't that he tried to avoid her, did her, but she's like, you really shouldn't be up here. And
I think he actually comes out with the typical line of, what was it now? It's something like, you shouldn't be up here. So he responds, well, no, and what say of that is you don't own the place.
I do. Kind of do, actually. But, he and Yuri basically notice each other, and, like, Yuri sees his gear in his bag. And Yuri's like, oh, he's a boxer. Huh. I mean, a, quote, boxer. Clearly this guy is not in my league. Because Yuri's actually basically the top-ranked Megalo Boxer in the world. And
we see put it this way, later on we see a glimpse of his training room. That's a lot of belts.
It's a lot of belts. Yeah.
It's a lot of belts.
Yeah, he was winning titles before he got the integrated gear is the really very clear implication. He's really good. Really, really, really good. Even with it's very abundantly clear that even without the gear, he's probably the best boxer in the world. But Joe basically, they start mouthing off. Basically, the two of them sort of quickly realize that oh, we're not going to get along. Joe's like, ooh, you're a boxer, sweet. Oh, you're telling me to shove off? Well, why don't you make me? Show me your actual boxing. And Yuri's like, the fuck?
All right, yeah, I'm down. I'll fight you.
Sure, what the fuck? Why not? I'll kick your ass. And Yukiko goes like, no, we're.
Nope.
No, you're not getting a brawl with this loser, dude. Yuri, come on, let's go. All right. I'm not going to disobey my boss. And Joe's like, the fuck? Okay, whatever.
Hey, fuck you, asshole. No, fight me.
And they drive off and he's like, what the fuck?
I think Yuri dismisses him, saying, he doesn't brawl with stray dogs on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, he was going to fight, then Yukiko basically points out, Yuri? No. And Yuri's like, oh, yeah.
You know better.
Yeah, like, you're a Shirato employee. Those arms are Shirato property. No. Fine.
The bigger thing is, like, she's like, this is beneath you. Come on.
Well, there is that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And Yuri's like, you're right. This is actually a literal street fight is actually beneath me. I'm a championship boxer. What the hell? But you can tell there's something about our hero here who's Yuri instinctually realizes there's something about this guy. Because later on he decides that he shows up at Joe's ring where Joe's like, oh god, I got to take another dive and wait, what's Yuri doing here? Yuri's like, I came here to teach you a lesson because you insulted the boss.
All right, so let's fight.
And Joe's like, cool, let's go. Show me how good you are, Yuri.
It's implied that Yuri saw something in the way Joe squared up and was like, I kind of want to fight this guy, but I'm not going to do it in the street. I'm going to do it in an underground boxer ring because it's so much better.
to be fair, like when Joe's in the ring expecting, unnamed nobody, and it's like, guy comes down in the robes and everything else, gets in the ring, and it's Yuri. And Joe's like, cool, okay. Nanbu is like, fuck no,
he will kill everyone.
Joe, he will kill you, no. And even, the funny thing about it is, even the mafia guy is like, it's okay, no, the boss said let this go. He doesn't even have to take a dive, let him just fight. Because the boss is an asshole and he's seen a betting opportunity, but
yeah. Well, the boss is an asshole and he's the opportunity to, like, yeah, we totally had Yuri in here. You should come here and see who else might show up.
Yeah, Yuri showed up here because, like, the crowd are all like, "Oh my god, it's Yuri!" And Joe's like, "Who the fuck is you? Who the fuck is this guy? He's the champion, you idiot!" Really?
Oh yeah, Joe hits that trope. He's like, for all intents and purposes, up until the start of this show, Joe has been living under a proverbial rock, yes, and possibly a literal one.
Yeah, it's entirely possible he actually literally was.
He's a really good boxer, but knows nothing about the larger world of boxing, just how to handle himself in a fight.
He's a natural. He doesn't have a lot of training.
Yeah.
Like, later on, we see a flashback Nambu has where he actually, for the first time he met Joe, who's just fighting him, like, on the docks, and he looks at him like, oh, this guy, like he has no training, but he knows how to fight. I can work with this.
Yep. And Yuri comes in and he's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to fight you with one arm behind my back. Joe's like, sure, dude. Whatever, I'm still going to kick your ass. And Yuri kicks his ass. Well, although he does end up having to use his other arm.
Before Yuri kicks his ass, Yuri's dominating. Joe's basically toughing it out. But then Joe forces Yuri to use his right hand to block a punch because Yuri's like, oh fuck, that's gonna knock me the fuck out.
Yeah, that's coming right for the that's coming for the button. Need to stop that.
And he doesn't even. It's purely instinct. His body just goes, no, I'm not letting that hit me.
And Joe spots it and he's like, even after the fight, like he gets his ass knocked out, but gets back up and challenges him. And he says, "Look, at the end of the day, you said you were going to fight me with one hand behind your back, and I made you do what you didn't. I made your body do what you didn't want it to."
Yuri's like, But yeah, like Yuri unsurprisingly knocks Joe out, and everyone's like, "Oh God, Joe's dead." And Joe gets back up, and Yuri's like, "The fuck." Okay, did not expect him to get back up.
He lost the fight. He was down for the 10, but afterwards he got pretty much straight back up. He's like, "Oh, I'm not done with you, you son of a bitch."
And Yuri's like, "The fuck? I could have sworn I knocked you the fuck out for like a week." Okay, dude.
Yuri's response is, "You know what, dude? You want a rematch? Fine. Come fight in my ring. I came down to yours. You come to mine."
Yeah, that's it. He says he basically just says, "No, I'm sorry." Look, not even. No, he doesn't say I'm sorry. He doesn't apologize to me. He says, "Look, I'm done with you. You're not worth my time. I've come and proven that. If you're so desperate to fight me, come try and fight me in my ring."
Meaning, of course, the big big prize
basically,
fight.
Earn your way up to be able to fight him,
fight
the number one ranked boxer in the world, some way, shape, or form. The soonest, the easiest way to do that would be to get into the Megalovania tournament. It's get in the tournament. So that's what Joe wants to do. Nambu is like, "Yeah, that's funny, kid."
Yeah, that's never happening. Number one, you don't even have like an actual real identity.
You realize this tournament is literally for citizens. You're not a citizen.
Yeah.
Number two, they literally say not in their league, dude.
They literally say Megalovania is open to anyone. That's the whole premise of the entirety. Yeah, the top guys are like fully professional boxers, but they literally say any citizen with gear can enter Megalovania. Just prove yourself. And the main problem behind it is Joe isn't a citizen.
Yep. So yeah,
it's not even any citizen with gear. It's just any citizen can do it if they want.
Yeah.
But Joe's not a citizen, so
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, Neil said Joe gets really frustrated. He's like, he's had a taste of an actual goddamn fight. He's got another take a dive fight. He's like, you know what? No, fuck this noise. The dude I'm fighting, oh God, I want to punch the taste out of his mouth because fuck this guy. He's an asshole. 2, I'm done with this. And he literally just goes knocks the dude out in round 1.
Yeah.
The dude comes out of the corner with his guard up. Joe just strolls towards him. Dude looks up and just catches a punch so fast. There's no way he saw that punch coming. Bang! Out. And Nambu is in the corner fucking shitting himself.
Oh, shit. I'm fucked.
We are so fucked. So yeah,
Joe doesn't often think of consequences, unfortunately.
No, Joe does not at all think about consequences.
Not even a little bit. So Nambu is drugged before the boss, who is, your stereotypical. Yeah, wow, he seems like a cultured, nice Yakuza boss. Yeah, that's a veneer.
You can hear someone being tortured in the next room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's not subtle. I mean, he's subtle, but not in a subtle way.
He's got that whole visage about him because every time we see him, well, at least early on, he's in the kitchen. He's a chef. He likes to cook. He likes to cut people, cut animals open and prepare stuff. And he uses there's a bit where Nambu's groveling before him, and he stops him halfway through his groveling to ask him to taste his stock. And he's like,
Yeah. So the thing is I will get so the boss never raises his voice, ever.
No.
Which makes him actually kind of horrifyingly terrifying. Because you can tell there is menace dripping from every word he's saying at certain points, and he's not raising his voice. It's like, oh, you're one of those people, aren't you? Oh, I am so screwed.
Yeah.
So Nambu comes up with a plan. He's like, okay, yeah, but okay, look, yeah, the kid threw the fight. didn't throw the fight. I know. I'm supposed to control him. You know how Joe is. You know how Drunk Dog is. Come on, man. Look, I've got a plan. I've got a thing. If we can get him a fake ID, we can enter him into the Megalo Box tournament and make it to the finals. It's a long shot. But if we can make it in the thing, this is what he wants. And dear Lord, it'll bring in a lot of money, and we'll be able to completely just clear our debts with you. And the boss is like, okay. You realize if this goes wrong, you're both dead, right? Yeah, I realize that. All right then. Okay, yeah, I can. You know what?
An important thing to note is that like the first thing he says when Nambu comes in before anything else is, "You owe me a lot of money, about an eye's worth." Nambu only has one eye.
Yeah, I think he basically said more than an eye's worth, really.
Yeah,
it's probably worth more than your other eye, dude. It's like, oh. But yeah, so he basically agrees. Yeah, okay, fine. We will make you a fake. Make Joe and I. We'll make Junk Dog a fake ID. We'll get him in the system. That's all the help I'm giving you, though. And Nambu's like, not a problem. I used to be involved in boxing. I totally still have some connections. And so he comes up with his plan. So they basically the gist of it is basically they basically okay. So what does he have to do? Well, Joe's got to fight his way. Basically the big megalovania. I don't remember what it's called exactly. But the big tournament is four of the best fighters in the world are invited to it. And Yuri is the consensus. Yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to argue with this. And not long after that, the second guy's invited. This guy from Mexico, his nickname is Spider, who's going to be Yuri's first opponent. And the third guy's invited pretty soon after that.
Yeah, three and four. At this point, 3 and 4 are still open, but 3 gets filled pretty quick.
Yeah, so Joe doesn't have a lot of time. And so Nambu's like, we got to get you up the rankings in no time flat. We got like 5 months at most, because that's when the tournament is. And they might hold off on the 4th invite for a while. So, yeah. Right, so we got like 3 months realistically to actually get this done. And the best bet, I think, is we can squeeze in 5 fights in 3 months if we're lucky. As an aside, that is a stupidly insane schedule for boxing.
Yes, that's one thing as well to point out in this, and we had this discussion at the end. The risk and injury and all that kind of stuff that goes along hand in hand whenever you have any conversation about boxing these days, not brought up at all in this. Okay, there's no like serious head injury or anything like that goes on. There's no discussion about it whatsoever. In fact, in some cases, it's even made a joke of like there's one bit where Joe wakes up in the morning and he's like, "Oh shit, there's blood in my urine again," and it's like, okay. So yeah, if you're looking for him to if that kind of thing bothers you about head injuries and how much they don't bother with it within this, okay. But just to preface that's it's not something they ever really bring up. And like Peter said, that sort of schedule, like for multiple fights within like 5 months alone, is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Literally, most boxers fight, I think, at most twice a year in the real world. Like 5 times in 3 months is like 5 times in a year would be stupid. Would be too much for most people. Yeah. So basically, what happens? So the first bit is basically they Nambu decides that they need to upgrade Joe's gear a bit, and so he goes to this guy who sells stuff to do that, and they run. While they're there, there's a group of kids who basically nick stuff and sell offensive with this guy, for
drugs.
For drugs.
They're Fagin's thieves that have gone freelance.
Basically.
Yeah.
They don't work for anybody.
One of them's over the age of 10.
But yeah, and one thing that Joe notices is that there's a set of gear that's in the in the back that it turns out one of the kids had nicked. So they basically, the important bit is that Nambu gets the bit to upgrade Joe's gear. The upgrade does not go well. Basically sets his gear on fire. So they don't have gear anymore. This is a problem. And so, but, Joe manages, basically, the kids get in trouble, and Joe basically, sort of saves one of the kids. Who's Sachio is the kid's name.
They basically, whatever they steal, they bring to this guy that does the upgrades and fence. And he basically pays them in sweets.
Sweets.
Sweets. They call it.
It's drugs. The dude gives them euphorics.
Yeah.
In the shape of candy.
To 10-year-olds. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole shtick of it is basically there's 4 of them and he only gives them 3.
He only gave him 3 this time, and Sachio's a little pissed. He's like, dude, you said you were gonna give us 4. You give us enough for all 4 of us.
And he's got basically a bodyguard / bouncer in the shop because of course he has an illegal fence, who's like walks around permanently. Yeah, permanently wearing Megalo Box gear. He's this huge hulking guy. Apparently used to be a pro, but like no one's ever heard of him. He's like, okay, sure. And he's like hoisting this kid like 8 feet in the air. It's like, dude, settle down.
Yeah, so Joe basically saves Sachio from a beating from a dude wearing gear. Also, gear that's had a lot of the protective stuff taken off because he's not actually a boxer anymore.
Mm-hmm. So like his fists, the fists aren't gloves; they're metal plates.
Yeah.
Sachio basically, to pay Joe back, basically, and realizing Joe's trying to get into the big tournament, basically steals the gear back. Because he's the one who stole it in the first place. So he's like, fuck it. If these guys are going to screw me over, I'm going to steal this gear for Joe and let Joe use it. Because that's the name, by the way. Joe, basically when they do the fake ID, Joe chooses, Junk Dog basically chooses the name Joe.
Yeah.
Nice, easy to remember name. And not a reference at all to another manga.
No, not at all.
It's a reference to Ishida no Joe because duh.
Yeah.
Basically Joe, unfortunately Sachio gets caught, so Joe has to go save him, and he basically gets into a fight with the dude wearing the new gear, which is this cool, very sleek looking, well-fitting gear.
Sachio's friends did at least get out. Sachio got caught. His friends got out with the gear and ran to Joe and says, Sachio needs help.
So Joe decides to help him because, Joe's a sucker for kids, apparently. Joe's like, you know what? A, they got me the gear. B, like, dude, don't beat up a kid. Come on. Like, the world's shitty enough without that. Come on. So they get in a fight. And Joe ends up winning the fight because he's a much better boxer than the dude. Unfortunately, the gear is destroyed because, he's fighting a guy who is using gear that does not actually have the gloves or anything like that. It's hitting with, like, actual plates, so it just breaks the new gear.
The new gear collapses pretty easily. It becomes quite clear that basically this fence has already pretty much gutted all the really decent stuff out of it.
Probably.
And it literally falls apart almost instantly. It just not even the bindings hold. Like it just falls off of Joe's body.
Well, it's powdered and it's broken by the dude's the other dude's gear.
Because the dude's got the giant friggin' like power fists basically, and it just the other suit's meant for actual boxing match, not street brawling with a guy with friggin' steam shovels for hands.
So but Joe's able to beat him without the gear because reasons. He's a much much better boxer, and this gives Nambu an idea. Joe's gonna fight gearless.
It's a great gimmick. It'll totally get his fights.
It'll totally get him fight. People will be like, if Joe can win the first couple of fights, that'll get him the attention of the actual the people up the card. Like, this dude beat the people he beat were schmucks, but he beat them without gear. He's legit. We got That's a draw. Now, the problem is that this means that Joe, he's at a power disadvantage. Also, he doesn't have the gear to block with. He's got the reinforced gloves, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. However, he's also has a significant speed advantage because not only is Joe already fast as fuck, but there's a slight delay when it comes to the gear when the gear swings because it's not a direct neural uplink, it's a force feedback.
Right.
So it takes a second or less than a second, but enough time to matter for the gear to actually do the punch.
So Joe has a speed advantage, as a reaction time advantage mostly.
Yeah.
Basically everybody he's fighting with a slight bit of lag. And Joe's already faster than they are because he's stupidly fast. And is a better technician than
wires.
And is a better boxing technician than most of the other boxers. And over the course of the series, he gets even better because Nambu's actually a good trainer.
Yeah, Nambu actually knows his shit really well. It's just he too had fallen on hard times and just got stuck in a pattern.
Yep.
Well, this is the weird thing about this whole sport is because and again this ties into that whole thing I mentioned about the ignoring of head injuries because you kind of have to, because there's no extra protection for the head. They are basically just boxing. The only difference is they have these rigs that mean that they punch like beasts.
Like monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, they just hit really hard. So they're still taking these shots to the head. So in theory, yeah, if you are fast enough and you still have enough, power as an actual boxer, it's no harder to win than an actual boxer. You just punch someone in the head, they go down.
Yeah.
It is kind of a weird. The whole sport as a whole is so weird when you think about it. That when you start to, that's probably why they left things kind of vague. Because as soon as you start diving into it, you're like, then why?
If you really think about it, like this should be a death sport.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like realistically,
the thing that's lacking in boxing is not that they're not punching hard enough.
Yeah, I as a random aside, it turns out that the actual thing that's made boxing more dangerous than anything else is the introduction of gloves. Turns out that by protecting the hands, it allows people to punch people in the head more often. Yeah.
Yeah.
So turns out that boxing with bare knuckles boxing, while it looked much worse, was a lot safer. It turns out.
It's the same parallel. I mean, from my own personal experience, it's the same parallel why the NFL have a lot more injuries than rugby does.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. No, totally.
Because people wearing armor tends to throw themselves at stupid things.
At any rate, though,
I know what you're talking about, Gav.
Yeah, it's not like for a while the NFL players were using their heads as battering rams because of the helmets. At any rate, though, so we've got the structure for where things are going to go. Joe's got to fight his way up the card so he can get into a position where he can be the fourth guy into the big tournament so that he can eventually face Yuri. If you are able to add 1 and 1 and get 2, you could probably figure out where most of the story is going to go from here.
Yeah.
Especially from things we've told you. So, it's not surprising that Joe wins all his fights up until the final match, which we're not going to spoil just yet. Joe's going to get to the final match. It's not going to be a surprise that the Yakuza boss is going to try to screw Joe over.
Because, of course he is.
And that Nambu goes along with it for part of it.
I mean, here's the thing. It's done well enough that despite seeing it coming from 6 miles away, it's still engaging. You're like, no, that motherfucker.
This is not yes, you are not actually surprised by it, but you're still affected by it. It is still like, oh, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh, poor, God damn it, Joe. Nanbu, really? They make references to the scorpion and the frog.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing.
And I'll say they deal with the story better than Star Trek Voyager did.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when Fujimaki, the mob boss, he's threatening Nanbu, and he presents this whole scheme to him in the first place. He starts. That's when the references start. He calls Nanbu a scorpion.
Yep.
And he starts saying, at the end of the day, a scorpion is still a scorpion and will always revert to its true nature. Because basically that's why Nanbu ended up in that position in the first place. He did things that basically he did it to himself, basically, let's put it that way. And he ended up in that position, in debt, failing, making bad choices. And Fujimaki was basically just saying, like you said,
now, I'm going to point something out now. The comparison of Nanbu to a scorpion and the Scorpion the Frog mythos is remarkably unfair.
Yes.
Because it's not just Nanbu's neck on the line here. Fujimaki makes it abundantly clear to Nanbu that it's not just him who's going to die, that if Joe doesn't throw the fight, it's going to be Joe and Sachio.
Yeah.
So, it's throw the fight or all three of you die. Nanbu is, yeah, it sucks.
Well, I think that's the comparison being made. Nanbu is using Joe and Sachio as his extension, as his way across the river. He's using them as his...
Yes, but again, Joe is... This is not a case... But again, it's not a case of... Nanbu is the point is that... The point that he's... The myth is that you can't change, your nature can't be changed, and that's not what's happening. Nanbu's decision to basically say we got to throw the fight is not just self-serving.
Right. It's weirdly altruistic because Joe.
But that's the thing.
He wants to win too. He wants to go all the way too.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't put Joe and Sachio under the knife.
But that's the thing, though. So
for his ambition.
This comparison, this whole thing is being delivered by Fujimaki.
Yeah.
So right. Fujimaki is basically saying that you are like this. This is what's going to happen. You trying to save your own ass, and is putting these two at risk. Now, yeah, through the rest of it, because Fujimaki underestimates Nanbu.
Well, yeah. But
in the end,
even ignoring ignoring that, again, Fujimaki is being immensely self-serving when he's saying this. He is screwing with Nanbu's head.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Nanbu is not the scorpion in this situation. Nanbu is a little bit at the beginning when he actually agrees to the deal initially agrees to the deal to have Joe throw the fight once he gets the big top four.
I'm going to point out that Nanbu is totally the scorpion here. It's just that the mob boss doesn't understand who the frog is. The mob boss is the frog. He's the one that paid for it, that paid for their entry fee. He's the one that got them their the ID. He's the one that's been fronting what little cash they have. And when it comes time to pay the piper, they say, "No, fuck you. We're going to fight." It's the mob boss that gets stung.
You're right to a degree.
Now, you cheer when they say, "Fuck you, we're going to fight," because fuck the mob boss.
Again, I actually, honestly, the Scorpion and the Frog is not a good analogy for this, is my point. It's a lot more complicated and nuanced than that story allows for.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's should be obvious to anyone. But it's also exactly the story that the mob boss is going to use.
Well, of course,
it serves his narrative.
It is entirely.
It's just ironic that in the narrative that the mob boss is crafted, he doesn't realize that he has become the frog. And that's what I think is great about it.
See, I still think that our heroes are still the frog, but they just eat the scorpion. The fuck? What? That's not how this works. Screw you! I'm immune. It turns out I'm resistant to your poison.
I pinch.
At any
rate, it's not really they're resistant to the poison. It's just that Nobu's totally willing to fucking sack his other eye to save the others.
Yeah. long story short, yeah. So they don't throw the fight, and Nambu basically sacrifices his own eye to basically pay off the debt. Basically, okay, look, boss, fuck. You know what? I'm gonna go full on like, yeah. You Yakuza types do have your little rituals about when you fuck up, you sacrifice a finger or what have you. Yeah. How about if I fucking take my own eye? Huh?
My last one.
My last eye. And the boss is like, well, fuck.
Well, all right.
You know what?
Not where I was going with this, but fine.
You know what? I'm done with you people. I'm just going to watch. You people are more trouble than you're worth. Fuck.
I am washing my hands of this bullshit.
Yeah, nope. You've paid your debt. That dude, you can't see the thing you most wanted to see, which is your protege actually fighting in the championship.
Yeah, that's the bit that gets me. It's like the minions of the mob boss are like, wait, so we're just leaving it at this? And the boss is like, the only thing he wanted out of this was to see this kid dance in the ring, and he's literally blinded himself. There is nothing we can do to this guy. You basically just seen how far he'll go if you push him the wrong way. We're not pushing him any further. There is literally no benefit to come out of us pushing him any further. That is debt paid.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any leverage anymore.
We're done.
Yeah.
We're done. Let's wash our hands of these assholes and move on.
So to me as well, it's a case of also, they've kind of got themselves in with the the actual international Megalo Box Federation or whoever.
It is abundantly clear Yuri respects Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, okay, Yuri respects Joe, and he is the personal boxer for
the head of Shirato.
Yeah. We may
even
be
the Yakuza,
but we're not going to cross the Megacorp. That seems like a bad plan. Do we have leverage on her? No? Fuck.
Yeah, it is that cyberpunk, like you said, though, it's that cyberpunk style thing where the corporations run everything.
Yeah.
It's like, it'd be easier to buy off government officials than it would be to take on a megacorp.
Yeah. So, so this leads to Joe's fight with Yuri. Because, of course, Joe wins his fight. Because, of course, he does. And Yuri,
of course he does.
Yuri dismantles his opponent. That poor bastard. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Spider is like doing all this really cool shit. Yuri's like, yep. Whap, you're out.
Whap.
It's actually a pretty cool fight, honestly.
It really is, yeah. He does tag Yuri a couple of times, but Yuri just waits for that opening, and it's just like, bang, and then out of nowhere, just like a follow-up combo.
It's literally like, okay, and uppercut, and now that I've uppercut you, you are completely open for my left hook. Oh, I'm screwed, aren't I? Thunk. Oh yeah.
Oh well.
So Yuri basically, he has a chat with Joe, and he basically, before he chatted with Joe before the match, before Joe's match, is like. Because Joe's like, yeah, I just wanted a pure fight with you, man. That's all I really care about. And Yuri's just like, the fuck's going? He came out in his gear for this fight, and what the hell's going? Oh no! Don't you dare throw this fight, you asshole! No! Get up off the mat, kick Burroughs' ass, then we're gonna fight, and that's what happens. And Yuri's like, yeah. Right. Fuck. I really want to fight him. I want to fight him on equal footing. I want to fight without gear now. Fuck. I'm jealous of this asshole.
All right. Guess I got to go pull this off.
So,
That's the best underground dock I know.
So he talks to the boss, and she's like, no. A, I'm not sure it can be done. And B, no. The whole point of this is
whole point of this is to show off your fucking gear for the defense contract.
Now, admittedly, just before this, we actually shown that she got her contract.
Right.
So they've already signed before the finals. They were impressed enough with
the general does say they want to announce it after after Yuri's victory
Mm.
as a way to sort of a beautiful symbolic thing, and she's like, the symbolism's too good if you don't. You can really tell though. There's a part that she's like, I don't want to risk you actually dying, dude.
Yeah.
Like you are like as much as it is an employer-employee thing. I also like you as a person. You are a friend. No.
Yeah.
Like, dude, no. I don't. And also, it becomes very clear that she does not understand boxing and boxers.
No,
she
not at all.
Does not get it, and frankly, I don't blame her. Like, okay, it's like she's like, I don't understand the appeal of it. Like, why do people like? I get like doing this to prove okay, the whole like Megalo Box thing with the gear as a way to prove the effectiveness of this gear and like how it can enhance human ability to do stuff. I understand that, but the actual like desire to fight another person and punch them, the fuck, I don't get why would you risk your life for that? Like risk your life just to prove that you are a better fighter than some what? And it also becomes clear she's her whole deal with the military. She doesn't want to provide the gear to the military. It turns out she doesn't want to provide the gear to the military as a way to make the military better. It's just another step in her testing thing to prove to basically further develop the gear as a way to enhance and improve humans as a species. Right.
Because one of the generals, it goes, okay, this is all great, but what about integrated weapons? No, this is an enhancement, not a weapons system. But you could put weapons on it. No, it's an enhancement, not a weapon system. What didn't you understand about the first time?
You're showing his weapons the whole boxing thing.
It's not a blood sport.
Nobody dies in the ring. What? Okay. These aren't death matches, General. What the fuck? We're doing this just to prove how she says basically exactly what I said. It's like this is a way. This is a way to prove that it can enhance human ability to do things, and the generals are like, wait, so you're just using us as another step in your testing grounds of proving of this? Yes. Oh,
mutual beneficial, dude. That's the whole point of the deal.
I love the generals afterwards are all like, dear Lord, that woman is scary.
But it's like, what it's like, yeah, okay, we're trying to do a huge contract. We already have more than enough money. We have more money in the world. It's like, yeah, sure, we can be your contractor and we give you this stuff for more money, I suppose. Or we could use it for testing data.
Also, Yuri comes out without the gear, and like the generals are like, why is it? She said, the gear wasn't necessary. Further testing the gear wasn't necessary, so fine.
But these generals are all like typical fucking military types. She's literally giving them super soldiers, and they want mech suits.
No, I have a hard time faulting them on wanting mech suits. Mech suits are cool.
Yeah, I mean everybody loves mech suits. I want a mech suit right now. I want a mech suit so I can put it on and go downstairs and get more ice for my drink.
Eric, you want a mech suit that has an ice maker built into it? Tell me.
Oh yeah.
That way you don't have to go downstairs to get ice for your drink. Also, it'll be cooler in the summers.
Exactly.
But yeah,
plasma cannon.
But yeah, so Yuri and Joe fight on neither of them with gear. Let's just also Yuri's the removal of Yuri's gear is kind of traumatic.
Yeah. It goes about as well as it goes better than anyone predicts, which is to say it goes badly.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way, the removal of his gear for the first week he spends in a Spartan room screaming.
Yeah. In pain.
Yeah.
Refusing painkillers because it'll slow down his recovery.
So yeah, but yeah, so Joe and Yuri have their big fight, and it goes longer than any fight has ever gone before.
Yeah,
because neither of them have gear. Turns out.
Yeah. Well, I'm
And-
sitting here, I'm watching this. Is like, what is this? 5 rounds? No. Oh, there's a limitless on there. Oh, Jesus Christ! How long are they gonna beat each other to burger?
ends up going 13 rounds. Yeah. So for most of the fight, Yuri is winning because he's better. He's a better boxer than Joe is.
Yep.
He's been doing this longer. He's more skilled. Joe has raw talent and turns out is tougher than fucking nails. He's goddamn Rocky Balboa. I mean, let's be real.
Pretty much, yeah. Except skinnier.
Yeah, it's easier to understand.
Instead of just sliced alone.
But yeah, so but you know, like Yuri can't put Joe away, and he's just like, damn, son. But Yuri is also like, he's not sitting down between rounds because he realized that, you know, if he does, he's not gonna stand back up.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah. He's largely working through this on, like, you know, willpower and adrenaline.
I mean, there's one part where he doesn't have a second in his corner either, and he's trying to take a drink from his bottle and he drops the bottle.
Yeah.
Just because his nerves are shot. To the point where even Sachio goes around and starts seconding for him just because he's like, you know, he's like, you know, I don't want any sympathy or thing from you. Dude, it's not sympathy.
I just don't want you to claim that Joe beat you because you didn't have anyone backing you.
Yeah,
well, it's two things. One, goddamn respect, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's like literally, he like helps him. He says, you know, I just figured that somebody could have you back, and I don't want to hear no excuses when Joe beats your ass. and he looks at him for a second. He's like, "Fine, I'll allow it."
Sachio does point out that he's doing this partially because he respects what Yuri's doing.
Yeah,
because it's like, dude, you had your integrated gear removed. You're not sitting down between rounds because, you know, you're basically just like, it's like, dude, mad props, dude.
Did we mention that Sachio is actually, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to boxing too?
Yeah.
Sachio is also their tech guy. Like, turns out the guy's just a little whiz at this kind of stuff.
No, it turns out his dad was a
urine, but whiz like, yeah. You know.
That's a whole side arc we won't really get into because there's no need to. But
no.
But yeah, Sachio's like, his dad was a gear researcher, I suppose, scientist. Like he was responsible.
Dad was an engineer,
developer,
developer. Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. So, you know, cutting edge sort of stuff. So Sachio picked up a few bits. He knows his stuff. His dad's not around anymore, but we'll let the show take you through that.
So yeah, the fight ends in the 13th round with the shot right out of goddamn Rocky.
Yes.
You get the Rocky 2 ending shot.
It's the Rocky 2 ending shot. The two of them, you know, Yuri and Joe hit each other with a shot to the face, and it stops there, and then fast forwards a year. Well, it stops there. Now, fast forward a little bit, and, like, you know, to after the defense meeting, and, like, the generals are going, "Dear Lord, that woman is intimidating." Also, like, dude, I feel sorry for her boxer. Like, damn.
The thing is, right, and again, this is huge spoiler, okay? But throughout the show, there have been references to mortality.
What, just because every episode has the word die in the title?
Every episode has the word die in the title. Like the first one is "Buy or Die." The man only dies once. Gear is dead. Let's dance with death. The man from death. Until the last dog dies. The road to death. Deadline of a dream. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Every episode, like, you know how at the end of every episode of Bebop it says, you know, "See you, Space Cowboy." Yeah, this is not dead yet in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, not dead yet. Like the very first time we meet Joe, when he says he's riding his bike, it's him in his head riding towards a cliff and seeing if he can stop just before he gets to the edge.
And we keep seeing this. This is our running theme whenever Joe's having a rough time with things.
Yeah. And as we cut to 1 year later, we get a monologue from Yuri about how no man wishes to die, but he knows if he does it his own way, and no one goes into the ring to kill anyone else or whatever. But as long as a man goes into it in his own way, fights his own way, and something along those lines, and at least he can be without regret. And you're thinking, what the fuck happened?
Well, all right. Yeah. So, spoilers for the actual ending from here on out. So, yeah.
They haven't. Also, just to point out, they haven't mentioned who won that fight either. It's literally the punches go in, fade to black 1 year later.
So, as an aside, you are not told who won the fight until the very end of the show. Literally, the last thing you see before the credits is who won the fight. So, Yuri, nobody
Yuri's
died.
in a wheelchair.
Yuri's in a wheelchair, though. And Joe's alive. And, yeah.
They fucking tease it.
Oh, they tease the fuck out of it.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, so who died? Who the fuck died? Who died? Oh my god, who died? Yuri's in a wheelchair. It must have been Joe. Oh, wait, Joe's still alive too? What the fuck?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I was fairly certain Joe was going to die in the ring up until Yuri had the gear removed. That's when I knew.
I was thinking right up until
once Yuri had the gear removed, I knew Joe was going to live.
I think I would have been more pissed if they had even died because of what I said earlier about the ignoring the whole head injury sort of thing. If all of a sudden, after all this time, somebody actually died, when it's not been referenced, mentioned, Boxer's health has never been brought into question, or at least nothing to do with them actually, because of the fight themselves.
I'll be completely honest. So, okay. The ending of the show is Joe won, but he vacated the title. The end credits, the end little blurb there shows this fight went 13 rounds. Joe won by knockout in the 13th round, etc. So Nanbu has opened up a sort of basically a boxing academy for kids. He still can actually train despite being blind because he can use his ears and he has people to help him out. And there are people that he's reconnected with who are helping out. There's actually a really good little mini story in the middle of the show about a guy who used to be one of Nambu's students.
He's now trained by Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, literally, the guy's name's Miyagi.
Who dresses like Mickey out of Rocky.
Yeah.
Yep.
That story is actually legitimately really good, and you could have done a longer arc of that if you really wanted to, but it felt about the right length for the show as it's structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this was a 26 episode series, that could have been 4 episodes as opposed to 2.
They do go to great lengths to point out just how good a coach Nanbu could have been if he didn't have his vices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally the entire last fight. Obviously he's blind at this point, but he spends the entire fight just listening to everything with his hand on the mat so he can feel the vibrations of the footsteps, and he knows. Whether when Joe's slacking, when Yuri's open, he can hear by the sound of the punches landing whether Joe's got the right amount of whether he's got his weight, whether he's hitting with as well as he can if he's not slacking off or whatever else. He can tell all this, and they go to great lengths to point out that this guy's a really good coach. He's just yeah.
But yeah, so they say they've got this sort of these sort of mini gears for the kids so they can actually learn boxing.
Boxing gear in pastel colors. It's like, yay, cute. Punch, punch, punch.
Yeah. And you get to see Yuri and Joe hanging out a bit because the two of them actually kind of like each other.
Yeah.
There was never any real animosity between them, ever. There was a little bit of animosity at the beginning, but, it's mostly due to, Yuri being convinced, who the hell is this guy? He's not a real boxer. Oh, wait, no, he is a real boxer.
Oh, he's a real boxer. Oh, he knows his shit. Okay, yeah. No, I want to fight him.
There is an absolute great scene, and I can't remember whether it's an actual fight or whether it's just Yuri watching something on TV, I think it is, where it's midway through the series, and it's like this up-and-coming boxer who known as Gearless Joe, and he looks at the screen. He's like, you just see the look of recognition in his face. He's like, "Holy shit!" When I said "come to my ring," I didn't think he'd actually do it.
Okay, I gotta respect that.
It's like, all right.
Well, let's see how far this guy can go.
Yeah, he's coming for me. Holy fuck!
Awesome.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, you find that Yuri's been looking for someone to challenge, like, to actually challenge him.
Yeah, he's been bored of the usual competitors as well. He's not really had anybody.
Nobody's been able to stack up to him as a boxer.
Well, he goes by this kind of not a mantra as such, but like a thing in his head saying, great boxers come around every now and again, but if you are that great boxer and you're lucky enough to have somebody who can challenge you, then it's like a golden era for boxing. And if you think about it, that pretty much goes along. Everyone, there's always like one big guy. There's always names that come around, but it's very rare that true like even rivalries develop in boxing.
The best example of that boxing I can think of where there was actual like multiple like people who are on par with each other was in the late 60s, early 70s with Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and Joe Frazier. Where there were three of them all at the same time. And yeah, Ali was the best of the three, but both Foreman and Frazier made Ali work for it. Yeah, so Yuri is, the implication I sort of got is that a lot of the Megalo Boxers really aren't great boxers. They're good at working with the gear, whereas Yuri's actually a great boxer who knows how to
work with the gear.
Right, but he's an actual boxer first. And that's the thing about Joe that sort of piques his interest, is that he realizes Joe was actually a boxer, which is goddamn rare. At any rate, that's Megalo Box, really. I mean, there's not...
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, we've skimmed that one as best we can because A, it's a sports tournament style show anyway, and B, a lot of the side stories they're there to flesh it out, but are not integral. So, there's still a lot to discover in this show.
It's really, as we said at the beginning, it's really worth watching, even just for the even if you don't give a damn about boxing. Dear God, it's a pretty show.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just talking about like the quality of the animation, like the way the environments are drawn are just goddamn gorgeous a lot of the time. Most of the time.
Oh, the show's gorgeous in general. Like there's just
the character designs
I have no
are
complaints
great
about the show.
Like Jesus Christ, Joe's character design is like fucking genius.
The backgrounds are actually fucking painted.
Yeah. Oh my God, the backgrounds. Oh my God,
the backgrounds are actually fucking painted.
Oh,
or at least, or if they're not, I can't tell the difference.
It's so goddamn pretty. Like, oh my God.
The thing with it is, and I don't want to do a disservice to them because, like, obviously they've got this, modern level of technology and all the rest of it. This show would fit in so well in that era of, of your bebops and your, that sort of that time. The look of it fits in really well. Yeah, okay, they're using modern technology to roll it back. And maybe it wouldn't have looked quite so good if this was made 20 years ago, but still, it brings back a lot of that feel, that same sort of... Like, you could quite easily imagine you were watching a show that is 20 years old.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
It's got that...
This show is done with a lot of CG work, like a lot of computer-assisted work. It just feels hand-drawn still. Like, they get that feel somehow. I don't know, like, witchcraft and wizardry, as near as I can tell.
Yeah, wild sorcery.
It is a goddamn pretty show. I will definitely say, I mean, we're basically moving into final thoughts here, effectively. I mean, as we said at the beginning, I really enjoyed the show. It's not a deep show, but it's not trying to be, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. But dear God, it's pretty. And the story it tells very well. And you form connections with the characters. You care about Joe and Nanbu and Sachio and Yuri to a degree. I mean, Yuri's not like a major character, but like you eventually realize you give a damn whether Yuri's going to get the fight he actually wants. And the side characters, a lot of them are kind of neat. There are a lot of neat side characters. God, Nambu's old student is a great character. And is a lot deeper than he appears at first.
Yes. Yeah, I forget his name now. Aragaki.
Yeah. He's a great character. And again, like at first you're like, oh, okay, I see where they're going, the angle they're going from the character, and there's some depth to that. Okay, that's an interesting angle. And then you realize that angle isn't exactly what, like... And part of the thing is, like, the Aragaki doesn't know what he wants, actually. Deep down, he doesn't know what he wants deep down. Like, he thinks he knows what he wants, but it's not what he actually wants, and he figures it out. And it's actually kind of cool. But yeah, it's a good show. It's real good. It is. Yeah, I would. It's. I cannot help but recommend it. It is well worth the time investment of watching it, in my opinion. So.
This show's great. I have zero complaints about this show. Like, it's not perfect because nothing is, but it's up there. It knows exactly what it is and what it wants to do and how to do it, and it's amazing that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, as I covered a lot of my thoughts at the beginning, but yeah, I mean, the thing with like Peter said there, and Eric just said, it knows what it wants to do. Yes, it could. And my only complaint is that I wanted to know more about the world in general.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah.
I like world building.
Sure.
But it's not necessary for this show. It would be adding on and explaining things that don't need to be explained, which is basically what I do. Yeah, it's for the sake of, like, this is his story. You don't need to know the bits. If you do, great. If you don't, whatever. This is his story. This is what's relevant. This is what happened, and that's all it needs. And as these two have said, it's all pretty as all hell. You know, from a technical standpoint, from an artistic standpoint. Yeah, can't recommend it enough.
Yeah. So 3 thumbs way the fuck up.
I found another winner.
You've done that several times. This one's real good. I mean, I think all of us went into this expecting it to be good. From everything we'd heard. And
even from the point where it was punching people with robot bits, that me and Eric sold. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, plus it's got that look. The look of it is just, yeah, I'm down. I am totally down. But yeah, it turned out to actually be good too. So that was a plus.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's a real good show. We all recommend it. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of 3 Minute Anime. Hope you all enjoyed it. It's next is my choice. And I've decided to go for something that's a little bit different. We're moving out of the realm of politics and robots and spaceships and wars, and even moving out of the realm of boxing and punching people. We're going, back to high school.
It's anime.
Yeah. And it's kind of slice of lifey, kind of.
Oh dear.
To be fair, this could be more violent.
That there are slice of life high school anime that have a higher body counts than Megalo Box did. Looking at you, School Days. That's a show that ends with like a double murder suicide. But no, we are doing Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
I've heard of this one. Never got around to watching it.
So I will quickly give a quick sort of brief little bit about the show, because basically, so our main character runs across one of his senpai from school at the bookstore, dressed up as a Playboy bunny girl, and no one seems to notice except him, and she is surprised that he notices, because apparently nobody can see her outside of school.
Huh.
Yeah, so
you know how we said about there's no head injury in this show?
Well, no, it turns out there's some weird paranormal shit going on. There's weird paranormal shit going on in this series. It's actually kind of awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna be doing Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, which is one of those patently absurd titles I have ever heard.
Yes.
But it's actually a good show. But that's going to do it for this week, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in probably a couple of weeks. I think Bunny Girl Senpai is 12 episodes, so it's 12 or 13.
I don't know off the top of my head. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this time, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And we're done recording.
Oh dear.
It's high school, and it's slice of lifey, but it's weirder than that.
Yeah, you had me scared there,
because none of us appreciate absurdism, you know.
It's kind of my jam.
No, Eric, it totally.
Says the guy who recommended Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Says the guy who recommended Fooly Cooly, Burn Logon, and Kill la Kill.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a pattern there.
13 episodes.
All right.
Yeah, that season had a lot of short shows.
Yeah. A lot of good shit, though. All right, folks. I think I'm going to wrap stream up here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find someone for you all to watch. Apparently I'm offline.
You were for a second. It's just come back up.
Oh, okay.
It was literally only a second. Yeah. It didn't go down while we were recording.
Oh, but well, I mean, I was recording locally, so that doesn't really matter that much,
Yeah.
but... So yeah, sorry about that. We've yeah. Who am I gonna host?
Oh, cool. Taka's just started streaming. I'll watch that for an hour before bed.
Well, I think I may just let AutoHost pick up. Yeah,
cool.
I think I'm gonna do. So, thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you guys next time. Hopefully, I'll be streaming tomorrow afternoon at some point. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Anyways, I'll see everybody later. Bye.
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 I'm going to go acquire food, so I'll see you guys later.